So I actually got a whole bunch of requests to go over the NPD info that Matt Piscatella released yesterday regarding the top 10 games life to date for the generation for both the Xbox One and the PS4. What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. And you know what? Really wasn't planning on making a video today. I have been playing so much Red Dead Redemption 2 in Chapter 6 right now. I think I'm 55 hours in. Wanted to finish it so I can have a review up for you guys on Monday, but so many of you hit me up in the DMs like, can I please hear your thoughts about this? So here we are, and it's pretty interesting, right? I actually think this list is pretty interesting, and the first thing you'll notice is how 7 of the 10 games are basically the same for both the Xbox One and the PlayStation. But before we get into all that, I want you guys to read what it says. Now, keep in mind, this is North America only, so Canada, Mexico, United States. This isn't worldwide sales, as I know people always confuse the two, right? This is just North America, even though I would imagine this list would be roughly the same if it was a worldwide list. Secondly, yes, digital sales are included. You can read it right there. Physical and full game digital for publishers and the digital leader panel. I know every time I do like an NPD video or whatever, people always say NPDs are relevant, they don't include digital. They've included digital for over a year now. Microsoft, Sony, Activision, EA, they all give the digital sales info to them. Now, what else isn't in this? This isn't a thing about microtransactions or Xbox Game Pass. This is strictly full game sales, whether at full price or whether on sale. So, like I said, the first thing that I noticed when looking through this was 7 of the top 10 games were the same on both lists. Just some of the placements were flipped. And to no one's surprise, really, Grand Theft Auto 5 is the best-selling game. And when I say best-selling, I don't mean in unit sales, although it probably is. This chart is completely based on dollar sales, not unit sales, but, you know, we got to take the info how we can get it, right? So a game that launched last generation, 2013, is the best-selling game of this entire generation, which should be no surprise. I think Grand Theft Auto 5 has pushed around something like 90 million units. Although it is weird to see a last generation game be the highest selling one for this gen. And it just goes to show you the power of Grand Theft Auto, the power of Rockstar. I literally made a video a couple days ago talking about how Red Dead Redemption 2 broke the opening weekend entertainment record at $725 million. So while Grand Theft Auto is massively huge, maybe it's Rockstar that has that appeal, as Red Dead is like the second biggest only to Grand Theft Auto. And I would imagine whenever Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, presumably for next generation, it will be the best-selling game of that generation. I mean, no questions asked, right? We all kind of know that's going to happen. So Grand Theft Auto, never going to die. Grand Theft Auto Online continues to draw people in month after month. I mean, the game's always like a top 10 or top 15 fixture in the NPDs anyways, so Grand Theft Auto 5, just a little funny that it's a last gen game being number 1 for this gen. And then you have Call of Duty. And that's one thing you'll notice, is people love Call of Duty. It makes you wonder why Activision doesn't really make their own console, although that'd probably be way too expensive to prototype a console and ship it out there. It's much easier for them just to make the game and then let Microsoft and Sony take the 30% cut. But look at that. Call of Duty World War II, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, both 2, 3, and 4 on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 list. Crazy to think that World War II, which is a Call of Duty that came out last year, is the second best-selling. And Infinite Warfare, if you remember, the game that came out 2 years ago, and was kind of the talking point of, oh, Call of Duty has gone off the rails, we don't like the future warfare stuff, even though I loved Infinite Warfare, it's still right there, like number 4. Like, even though it was one of the worst selling Call of Duties, you know, of this generation, it's still like one of the best-selling games, period. So that's the thing you can kind of take away from this, is that Call of Duty is massive. And even though Grand Theft Auto 5 is the best-selling game of the gen and Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be the best-selling game of this year, gotta keep in mind that these Call of Duty games come out every single year and they're always right there. I mean, look at Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is on this list. Yeah, it's number 9 on PlayStation and number 7 on Xbox One, but that's like every single Call of Duty game released this gen except for Ghost, and that was cross-gen. All represented right here in the top 10 list. So I guess you could say the top 4 is boring, and to be expected, Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty. Well, for number 5, you have Battlefield 1, which is also on the PlayStation list at number 6. Battlefield 1, 5 on Xbox, 6 on PlayStation. I didn't really know Battlefield did that well, Battlefield 1. So it's surprising to me to see it that high up. It must have sold a ton of units to be this high on dollar sales. It's on EA Access on the PC. And then to see the lower hype for Battlefield 5, a sequel to Battlefield 1, which is one of the best-selling games of the entire generation, it just kind of further reinforces the idea to me that EA just screwed up everything around Battlefield 5, right? I don't think Battlefield 5 is going to come within shouting distance of whatever Battlefield 1 did. And I mean, I'm sure they would want to redo, you know, the reveal event, the doubling down on calling their consumers stupid, you know, Battle Royale not being ready for launch, delaying the game from its original release date, even though that does seem smart considering what Red Dead Redemption did. It just seems like every decision wasn't really a well thought out one. And to see it right here, to see it Battlefield actually selling more than Advanced Warfare, a Call of Duty game, is eye-opening. And to see it there ahead of everything else, literally the only games that sold better than the Battlefields, or Battlefield 1, is Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto. So Battlefield is a monster franchise, and to see the hype like die down for 5, you know, just people at EA are going to lose their jobs over this one. And, you know, we already know some CEOs and people left. Well, maybe not the CEO, but maybe it was the CEO of DICE. I forget. Patrick Sutherland, he already left. And then it brings us to, well, number 6 on Xbox, which is also number 8 on PlayStation, Star Wars Battlefront 2015. Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront. Like, to me, that just shows the appetite that gamers had for a AAA multiplayer-focused Star Wars game. And sure, yeah, that game was marketed heavily with PlayStation. They had the Darth Vader Xbox and those really cool commercials. But we haven't really, before Battlefront 2015, we hadn't really seen a Star Wars game on that level. And, you know, the Force Awakens was just coming out. Star Wars were just getting back into the mainstream talking points. You know, it was like coming back as a brand. So it's it's interesting to me to see it that high up. It must have sold a ton of copies, and then of course to see, well, this is EA again, right? You have Battlefield 1 high up there, you got Star Wars Battlefront 2015 high up there, and then you just see how they screwed up the sequel, Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is reportedly like way down on sales from the first one. So yeah, it's nowhere even close. You know, I would love to see like a top 30 list, because that would give us like a little bit more diversity in these things. But now we understand the true failure of like Star Wars Battlefront 2 and what I think will be Battlefront 5. We already talked about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare on the Xbox at 7. So we'll just look at the PlayStation list at number 7, and you have God of War, the first exclusive on both of these lists. Interestingly enough, there's only one exclusive on the PlayStation 4 list and one exclusive on the Xbox One list. So God of War 2018, already the 7th, you know, best-selling dollar sales-wise on PlayStation after only being out for 6 months. The game came out in April of this year, and, you know, it's 6-7 months, and it's already that high. It goes to show you exactly how well that game sold. And you gotta keep in mind, this isn't worldwide sales either, this is North America. And in North America, the gap between PlayStation and Xbox like sales is around 2 million, like 2.5 million. Like they're still pretty close in North America or in this region. Yeah, like elsewhere in Europe, it's a complete blowout. That's where most of the PlayStation's lead consists of. But here in North America, it's still, within a decent distance from each other. But to see God of War 2018 sell those many copies, and Matt Piscatella and Z Huge in the thread on Resetter both said like almost every game on the PlayStation 4 side in the top 10 is over 3 million copies sold. So God of War already over 3 million copies sold. It's really impressive for what that game has done, Like, you kind of like soft rebooted the franchise, and selling as many PlayStations as it did, it's really impressive for what the team did. And then if you look on the exclusive on Xbox's side, well, you have Halo 5 Guardians at number 8. Yes, Halo 5. Now, I've heard for so many years now that Halo 5 was a sales disaster. The Sony fans kept on telling me it didn't sell very well, even though they announced that it sold like 5 million copies after 3 months on sale. Here you have it. NPD is the one exclusive in the top 10. Halo 5 Guardians at number 8. And while Halo isn't the franchise it used to be, when it was the king of first-person shooters, when it was the franchise, right? The king. It's still a absolute juggernaut, and both Matt and Z Huge in that thread said the same. Like, it may not do the numbers it once did, but is still a massive franchise. So I'm really interested in seeing how Halo Infinite will do whenever that releases, presumably 2020. It's going to be on Game Pass. You're going to have a whole bunch of people playing it. How will it being on Game Pass affect its full, sales? I don't really know, but this should really put to bed to the fact that Halo 5 didn't sell very well. It's right there at number 8. And then we got, we got the basketball stuff here on PlayStation, right? NBA 2K18 at number 5, which is pretty high, and NBA 2K17 at number 10. So PlayStation gamers really love their basketball, and basketball's kind of taken over from Madden this gen as like the dominant sport. It kind of started happening towards the end of the 360 era. Madden was always number 1 here in North America, but towards the end, NBA 2K started to really show its promise when they started getting like Michael Jordan and like all the Hall of Famers to be in the game, and it's just dominated. It's just the best-selling sports game here. FIFA is probably the best-selling sports game worldwide because soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, is a bigger sport. But yeah, so it's definitely pretty interesting to see like basketball is much more, or at least, bought more on PlayStation than it is on Xbox. So then we come to the end here on the Xbox One side, and we have Destiny 2 at number 9 and Fallout 4 at number 10. Interesting to see Destiny 2 underneath Halo 5 Guardians. I thought it would be higher, as that game is also made by Bungie, but the game came out last year, so maybe it eventually, over the course of time, it might move up. And some interesting things that Matt Piscatella did say. He says that NBA 2K18, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, and Overwatch are all well within jumping on the Xbox One top 10 by the end of the year, so long as the other titles don't raise the bar, which they likely will. Marvel's Spider-Man will jump on the PS4 list next month, while Destiny 2 is well within range, but with the same caveats on the bar being raised by the big Q4 releases. So there you go. That's how well Spider-Man did, because next month it's going to be on that PlayStation top 10 list. Where will it place? I would think either right above God of War or right beneath God of War. It'd be pretty insane for Spider-Man to outsell God of War in a month from what all of God of War sold in 6 months, but I guess it's entirely possible. And he said Destiny, which was another one I was wondering where was Destiny 1. He said Destiny's a funky one because you have Destiny, Destiny the Collection, and Destiny the Taken King are all considered separate titles in their reporting, so they're not all lumped together. Maybe it would be higher on the list, but I don't know. I thought all this stuff was pretty interesting regardless of no sales numbers. All of the ones on the PlayStation side should be over 3 million sold. Z-Huge did say the same applies for mostly the Xbox One side, like Halo 5 Guardians is over 3 million. But I don't know. I think it's all interesting. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you were one of the few that requested this video, I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, hit the notification bell. Share this out with a friend on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry this was a long one, a lot to go over. But hey, I love doing it. Anyways, guys, hope you have a great rest of the night, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.